Hello everybody, Aiden here, and welcome to another video on the Around the Slice Entertainment YouTube channel. So last night on opening night, I was able to see Supergirl at my local AMC around here. So today, of course, I am here to review and discuss it with you all via my positives, negatives, and a personal concrete final score. So you guys have a reference point with that fun stuff at the very end out of 10. Mind you, before we do so and get into all of that, however, if you enjoy any of this type of content at all, please consider liking this video today and subscribing to the channel, as the coming weeks and months, really month or so, are going to be jam-packed. Today, right now, you're watching the Supergirl review and discussion. In a few days, on Monday, June 29th, I'm going to give you guys my review for The Bear Season 5 on Hulu/Disney Plus. And then a few days after that, the very end of next week, being Friday, July 3rd, I'm going to give you guys my instant review and reaction to the first few episodes of X-Men 97 Season 2 on Disney Plus. And then next month, the month of July, we have the two tentpole titles, the two summer blockbusters, if you will, of The Odyssey and Spider-Man Brand New Day. Let's just say I'm hyped beyond belief, out of my mind for that. So right off the top of Supergirl, I did tweet this little instant reaction, if you will. Again, AWeingartner13. Please follow me personally over there, at AWeingartner13, rather, over there on Twitter /X. I did tweet that I think I don't get the hate here, like, with this movie, like, at all. Well, I shouldn't say it all, because I have not a lot, but I have a few of my own personal issues for sure, but I think the hate here is overblown in the sense of people are just hating it to hate it. I feel like I enjoyed my time with it. I don't think it's some groundbreaking, impactful adventure, but throughout my review today, you'll understand why I enjoyed it so much, and I'll give you the context of some of my negatives that, go into my final score at the very end. First, big positive, again, as always, these are never in any order of significance, or this was my number one positive, this is my number one negative, and so on and so forth. These are just like, not jumbled thoughts, but these are just like off the dome, no filter thoughts, if you will. This movie is, especially in the beginning, is very fast paced. Now, unfortunately, with my negatives, I'm going to have to talk about how that's to its detriment, at times rather. But like from a top down view, very fast paced in the sense of there were no moments of boredom. There were no quote unquote slogness, if you will, where like, oh my God, this is so painfully slow to get through. This is way too much exposition. This is way too much setup. There were no specific moments, scenes, or hell, even extended sequences where I was like, come on, can we skip this? Like, who cares about this certain backstory? Who cares about this certain moment/sequence? Like, can we get this ball rolling, if you will, plus more? Like, no, especially in the beginning, it's at a breakneck pace, again, to its detriment at times, but in the sense of there were no moments of boredom, there were no slogging through anything at any certain time. I really enjoyed that from a pacing perspective. I want to talk about the lead here because this is going to be the talk of the town, at least for me, and I'm sure many others. Millie Alcock as her debut as Supergirl, or more specifically, her real name of Kara Zor-El, Supergirl/Kara. Really well done, really charismatic, upbeat, positive-esque performance. And I like how they worked in her relationship with Superman. I also like the balance of when and how often, or really not how often, David Corenswet as Superman appeared. Because if David Corenswet as Superman was appearing every 5 seconds way too often, it would overshadow, and outshine Millie Alcock for sure. I thought it was the perfect balance of introducing Millie Alcock as Supergirl/Kara and also giving us some cameos of David Corenswet as Superman here and there. What I'm trying to say is I really enjoyed the balance of how they didn't make Supergirl Millie Alcock feel overshadowed by David Corenswet. I thought they gave us the correct dose of David Corenswet, if that makes sense. What I'm trying to say is if David Corenswet was in the movie way too often, it would outshine Millie Alcock. But I thought Millie Alcock's performance was really charismatic and upbeat and really inspiring in the grand context of this movie. and Superman didn't outshine her, which I was kind of slightly worried about from all the trailers that like David Corenswet would outshine Millie Alcock, even though this is her movie in terms of performances. But nope, it was the right dose of both characters, especially Millie Alcock, and I thought it was done on a great level. Next, another notable actor being introduced to this universe here, at least this new form of the DCU, is Jason Momoa as Lobo. I thought Jason Momoa as Lobo was a really fun and cool addition to this cast. Now, I wish like he had more substance and depth to him in terms of actually contributing more to the overall plot slash adventure slash story as a whole. But on a surface granular level, on a surface level rather, without getting too granular with it, rather, I really enjoyed his addition. His character was kind of paper thin, but like again, on a surface level, I really enjoyed his addition and the dynamic of him teetering on the line of being a good guy and bad guy. Sometimes he's willing to help, sometimes he just want to destroy and wreck shit and f shit up. But I mean, I thought that was a perfect teetering line moment for this character. Again, I wanted a lot more substance and depth to him in terms of actual contributions throughout the story because I thought, unfortunately, it was kind of a paper thin character. It's not a full blown negative, just like some character moments of him here and there that I really was nitpicking here and there, if you will. But again, on a surface level, really cool, and I hope we see him more going forward. Obviously, Jason Momoa, people love him. He has the whole vibe of the long hair look, the deep voice, everything with that. So that was really awesome to me. Next, we got like some surprisingly like meaty backstories here. I really like seeing some new, like at least in terms of like new DCU, the reboot of the universe, some more brand new Krypton lore, and to an extent, Zor-El, Kara's father, Zor-El as well, whether it was new Krypton lore, whether it was new Zor-El lore, or just their family as a whole, Jor-El, all of them basically, the Kryptonians. Seeing the flashbacks of the planet really fall literally right in front of their eyes falling to pieces. I thought that was really well done, and how all the flashbacks for that matter was really well done. I really enjoyed those Kryptonian flashbacks, but I also really enjoyed the one big meaty reveal slash flashback, if you will, of Clark slash Superman and Kara slash Supergirl meeting for the first time, and him kind of taking her under his wing as her now newfound cousin, if you will. So, all those flashbacks, I don't know if it's some new groundbreaking lore, but I'm going to consider it lore, especially in this brand new rebooted universe of James Gunn, as I'm really enjoying how this has gone so far. And then, to me, what carried the movie for me in terms of a really inspiring dynamic was Kara and Ruthie. More specifically, Kara and Ruthie's relationship was the heart and soul of this movie for me. At first, Kara wants nothing to do with her, but she quickly finds out that this is just a kind of screwed up girl that was in bad circumstances from crime, and I gotta help her basically. And they help each other, whether it was them arguing or them sharing backstories together, or more specifically, them sharing how they both grew up together. There were some sad tear-jerking moments for sure, especially at the end where Kara almost leaves Ruthie there with, I mean, obviously she invites her to stay with her after, but like that's some tear-jerking stuff for sure. I mean, Ruthie's backstory is really, really heartbreaking. Both of them are, but Ruthie specifically is a brand new character in this universe, and more specifically, movie as a whole, in a general sense, specifically rather. It's really some heartbreaking stuff when you really break it down in that level, in that sense. So their relationship, whether they're arguing, whether they're sharing stories with each other, whether they're kind of bonding over heartbreaking, touching, tear-jerking backstories, how they are each brought up in their own respective moments and storylines, that was really, really awe-inspiring stuff. And to me, those two, especially the dynamic with one another, with their heart and soul, this movie, and you can throw Krypto into that effect as well, them fighting for Krypto's life, and they each get something out of it as well. Again, while I do believe that the hate is overblown, I do understand why people wanted more from this movie. If that leads us into my few negatives here, if you will. I said at the beginning, from a top down view, this is a very fast paced, breakneck at most times story. And while I do enjoy that it never really slows down or slogs through any certain plot line from an audience such as myself, view and perspective rather, the first half of this movie felt very, and I mean, not just a little bit, very, very rushed, unfortunately. I thought the whole setup for the adventure itself was very rushed. Everything in the first half of the movie, first and to an extent second act as well, was very disjointed. They never really slowed down to introduce us to this character. What are this character's motives? Why is this character being so threatening? It was very all over the place, and it's a breakneck speed, but to the level of it's its own detriment. I felt like I have a very strong opinion that the first half of the movie specifically rather, was very to an point extremely rushed even. The setup was all over the place, if there even is a setup, very disjointed, very uneven. It settled in the second half, last 45 minutes, hour, give or take, of the movie for sure. But that whole actual setup of the adventure, we see Lobo, we see Krem, we see the adventure, we see this, we see that. All these storylines were intertwining here and there, all over the place, and I thought they did a very, very. I'm just gonna put like keep it 100 to keep it a buck and put a button with you guys. I thought they did a very bad job of balancing everything and introducing everything for an audience member such as myself. Next, I want to talk about the action because Superman last year I thought had a really good balance of giving us action and giving us some normal, heartfelt Clark Kent and Lois Lane moments. James Gunn's Superman last summer, that is. The action here was lackluster, if you ask me. When it hit, it hit. But to me, again, you guys can let me know in the comments below. But to me, Supergirl's movie action was way too few and far between. There would be literal lulls in action. We were to go half hour to an hour between action scenes, if that. Like, again, when it hit, it hit. But overall, I wanted more action in the sense of it was way too few and far between. Not nearly enough action scenes. They were impactful when they happened for sure. The quality, was top notch when they happened for sure. Definitely from that perspective as well. But I wanted them to happen way more often. Next, I want to get to the quote unquote villain because I just got to say, Krem, very paper thin villain. He never feels very threatening, really, at all. Cynical, maniacal, whatever you want to use. Lex Luthor, Nicholas Hoult portraying Lex Luthor in James Gunn's Superman last summer. That dude was on fire. That portrayal was awesome. Forgive me, I can't remember the actor's name of Krem this time around that I saw last night. It doesn't really matter because it was a really disappointing performance, in my opinion. More specifically, story-wise, character-wise, really paper-thin villain, if you quote-unquote villain. Not really threatening, cynical, maniacal, whatever villainous term you want to use, none of it. Like, obviously, Lex Luthor is the villainous standard for the DCU now in terms of the whole, really going back to the 80s and 90s history of Superman. But, I mean, this is the DCU. We need impactful, memorable villains, and Krem was very paper thin. I really didn't at any point understand his motives. I didn't fear the lives of our good characters in Lobo to an extent, but more specifically Kara and Ruthie. Like, he just felt weak. I didn't really understand his motives. He didn't really have a proper villainous storyline, if you will. So I was very disappointed in just how paper thin Krem was as a quote-unquote villain in this story. For a final score, it boils down to this. Is this impactful? Is this nearly as impactful and memorable as James Gunn's Superman last summer? Absolutely not. Not even close to it, probably. But if you detach it from following up Superman, which I know it's hard to do with this new rebooted DCU, this rebooted universe as a whole, rather, it's a fun side story. I don't think it's very impactful for 2 or 3 years to come, like Superman will be for sure, as we're getting Man of Tomorrow next summer. But if you detach it from the expectations of being sandwiched between James Gunn's Superman last summer and the sequel, Man of Tomorrow, next summer, I think you'll appreciate it even more. So if you don't compare it to certain projects, you'll realize, at least in my opinion, you'll realize that it's a really breezy, fun side quest slash side adventure for a charismatic actress and character in Millie Alcock as Kara slash Supergirl specifically. So because of that, I'm going to give this movie a 7.25 out of 10. I get people's qualms with it, and I understand why people didn't like it, but I think in terms of truly, truly hating it and saying, man, that was Supergirl, super mediocre, I don't get that at all. I think it was slightly above average, if you ask me. Reminder, 7.25 out of 10. Let me know down in the comments below, what did you like about Supergirl? What didn't you like about Supergirl? It will be interesting to have that discussion and compare it to other DCU projects like Creature Commandos, like Superman, of course, and including jumbling those all up together. I think I might do that for you guys next week via a ranking for you all, so potentially be on the lookout for that. Please follow me personally on Twitter /X at AWineGunner13 for any additional movie and or TV show thoughts, opinions, and discussions. Please share this video and channel with anyone and everyone you know. Thank you for the support and growth as always. You know I greatly appreciate it always. I will see you in the next one. Have a great weekend. Please go out and see Supergirl. It's absolutely worth seeing. It's fun at the end of the day. Goodbye.